How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Tacoma Beast channel, where, as you all know, it's all about the taco. Today we're going to be going over Mike's 2015 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. Let's get to it.
Hey Tacoma Beast, my name is Mike and this is my 2015 Tacoma TRD Pro.
Dude, Mike, thanks for being here, driving 2 hours down here. Really appreciate that, man. How long have you owned this Tacoma for?
So I owned it ever since 2018. I did buy it used, bought it with roughly 40,000 miles on it. Now it has 116,000 miles or so. A lot of the miles is from just traveling, Utah, Colorado, Las Vegas, stuff like that.
How long did it take you to build it to where it is now, or did you already buy it like this?
Everything that's on it, I did put on it, or I did cut on it, buying parts here and there, getting stuff, putting it on when I have time. And I also do my own work myself, so I do everything other than welding pretty much.
And what is it that you do, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I work in logistics, I work at home though, I work remote. So I have that flexibility of being able to stay at home or travel if I want to.
Is there anything that you did on this truck that you regret doing?
If I could go back, I would try not to cut my flares and fenders so much, pretty much.
I noticed you have the Viper cut.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've always seen on social media, and I'm always kind of like, I'll cringe at it. I'm like, oh, I don't like how it looks. I know it creates a lot of clearance up in the front, and I did hear that you mentioned it on one of your videos on your YouTube channel, that was another thing that you regretted. Would you have rather gone with like a bumper, or how would you have solved that?
I probably wouldn't have cut the actual Viper cut and the actual bumper itself. I didn't think it really is needed for clearance, and I thought it was one of those things you have to try it in order to see how it looks, and I did it, and there's no turning back.
Dude, I know that on Instagram I've always asked you, I'm like, dude, do you plan to do a front bumper? And
yeah.
In my head I'm like, leave it the way it is, man, because that thing is so clean, it looks so good. It's one of, in my opinion, one of the nicest looking second gens out there, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like, everyone gets front bumpers, I do understand it has a purpose, but for me, I feel like just the rear bumper itself is enough to get onto whatever trail I want to get to. It's more now just cosmetics, making it look like a stock truck pretty much, just, slightly built with suspension.
I saw you have a massive display there. How big is that thing?
It's from Top Display. It's actually a new product, recently new. It's not available for any other year other than 12 through 15.
No way, they literally just made it for the 2012 to 2015 Tacoma.
Yes, I do believe it can fit the older ones with a little bit of modification, but I haven't, actually tried it myself. But I do know that it is not available for the third gen, unfortunately. So in my case, I actually love that because there isn't that many products for the second gen.
Dude, that's 100% truth. And how do you like the interface, and like, are you able to like do Netflix on it as well?
Yeah, so you can run like all the hotspot, running like Netflix, Hulu, and watch, all the videos as you drive.
One thing that I noticed you also have is like a gauge right behind the steering wheel. What is that for?
All right, so that one's a scan gauge too. So it pretty much just plugs into your OBD2 port, and you're able to read the computer on the truck. So like, your trans temp, your engine temp, your intake temp.
I noticed you also upgraded the knobs on your truck.
Yeah.
What are those?
Yeah, so I actually upgraded the climate control knobs to AJT design. The ones on the second gen, in my opinion, aren't that great. This one just gives you, a little more aesthetic pleasing, and just looks a little bit better, how you turn the knob and stuff.
I agree, man. Did you upgrade your interior light kits by any chance?
Both my map lights and dome lights are from Miso Customs, actually. Version 2 dual map lights, so the red and the white. But I always honestly keep it all at red, especially driving at night. If I was on a road trip driving at night, it's cool to have the red because it's easier on your eyes.
Dude, I totally agree with you, man. Like, I have the red ones too. It's like you're inside a tank.
Yeah.
Dude, and what about the sound inside your cab? I did kind of surf through your Instagram and saw that you had done that mod where you get basically sound deadening. How tedious was that project, and is it worth it?
Well, first, I do believe it's 100% worth it. It was very tedious, as if I had to take off every single interior piece except for the dash and do 3 different layers pretty much. It took probably, I would say, almost a week, but just like working on it every couple hours a day.
You also did the headliner as well?
Yeah, so the roof, I actually have 2 layers of sound deadening, and then I also have insulation for heat to kind of keep the cab a little bit cooler in the sun because, you know, the roof takes all the heat.
That's something that I actually want to do to my truck. I've been wanting to do it for the longest time. I definitely did not know that it was going to take a week.
Also, when you're on the trail, like, it doesn't sound like a rattle can. It's pretty much everything just feels solid, you know?
What about for communication? What do you have? Do you have any radios in there?
For communication, so I actually run the Midland 275. For the antenna, I run it on top of the Miso Customs third brake light.
I was wondering what that was. I was like, what's that little thing back there?
Yeah, so yeah, you can hook any Midland antenna will go on top of there. You just screw it on and it gets a pretty good range too as well.
That's badass, dude. Moving to the outside of your truck, let's start from the front. What headlights are you rocking and how do you like them?
So I'm running the Alpha Rex Nova Series in Alpha Black. I've had them for almost 2 years and I love them. I haven't had any issues with them. I'm running the amber daytime running lights as well.
They look so good with your black truck, man. And what do you have for the fog lights? I love the accent, that yellow accent that comes from the bottom.
Yeah, so the fog lights are Baja Design. So it's actually a new product that just came out recently. It's the Baja Design SAE lights, the version 2. So these have more of a sharper cutoff line to be street legal, you know, not blind everybody.
I hate it when I see like another fellow, whether it's a Jeep guy or a Tacoma guy, and they have their lights like and they're in the city, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? You're gonna make it, you know, you're gonna spoil it for us. Like, turn those off.
Yeah, you know, that there's those guys out there that run them during the daytime too, or at nighttime and stuff like that. And I get it, you know, it's cool and they are pretty bright, but it does blind some people at nighttime, and I wouldn't want to be in front of that. So
in order to pair the headlights with the fog lights, did you do a mode so that when you flick them on, they can both turn on at the same time, or during DRL mode?
Yeah, so pretty much I did a do-it-yourself mod that I found online that you're able to run the fog light by itself without having the headlights on.
What did you do for like power control?
For power control, I'm running the RLB, so rear light bar control panel.
I was walking around your truck and I noticed you got a couple battle scars. What do you have for the skid plate?
For the skid plate, it's actually a homemade skid, not by myself, but from someone online. Been on the truck ever since I bought it.
What about the sliders? I love the cutout on these sliders. I love that angle in the back. What are those?
Yeah, so those are actually made by Rego Fab. I don't believe they make these anymore for the truck. I did love them because of the kickout. The kickout doesn't close, it just opens up and just stays like that.
Dude, I love that bend at the back. It's so sick. I wish they had them. I don't know why they stopped making them.
I don't know either. I loved them.
What I love about your truck is how it all comes together, right? It's extremely clean to the point where it almost looks like the sliders match your rear bumper. What rear bumper do you have?
All right, so for the rear bumper is made by Outgear Solutions. I did like it too because it's a tube bumper and it does match the sliders as well. That's the reason why I did want to get it, because it all just flows so well together.
Now, there's a lot of cutting with that bumper. Were you hesitant at first to be like, man, because like, you think twice before you cut a perfectly looking truck, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure, yeah. I didn't do it myself. I had Joe at Outgear do it for me. But yeah, cutting the bedside, it's probably one of those measure like 5 times, you know, cut once, you know, you just want to make sure that you get the right amount of gap.
You want it to be perfect.
Yeah, because, you know, if you have too much gap between the fender and the bumper, you can't go back.
Now for the taillights, I see that you kind of match the headlights with going with Alpha X, correct?
Correct.
But you're always switching between 2 taillights. Do you have 2 pairs?
One's the Lux Series and one's the Pro Series. So right now on the truck is the Pro Series. I just personally love that look of that one because it flows with the truck better. And the ones from the Lux Series, in my opinion, just fit the 3rd gen better. But I do have both because yes, I do get tired and I kind of like to change it up a little bit.
We kind of brushed up on the 3rd brake light, the Miso one. You're able to fit Baja, like the pod lights, right? Is it too bright though for like someone that's behind you?
I guess what I do have in there is 3 Baja Design rock lights in red. So yeah, when I do press the brakes, it is pretty bright. So it's just kind of a cool look to just be a little bit different, and they are pretty bright for sure at nighttime.
All right, man, if we look at your truck bed, I see you have some Molly panels back there. How do you like those? What do you use those for?
So I actually mainly use it for my water port to hook on to the side when I go travel. Very helpful for like, you know, mounting locations pretty much.
You got a bunch of mounting locations. And then for your spare tire, I see that you have it back in, like just hanging there in the back.
Yeah, it's just temporary. Honestly, I haven't come down to a solution that I've liked really a lot.
What about to stiffen the bed? Did you do anything?
Yeah, so I do have the Total Chaos bed stiffeners. That was like one of the first things I did.
What do you have for the tailgate insert?
So that one I'm running the AL Off-Road Trailgate. So it's cool to have that, like, flat surface to do whatever you want on there, and also have the cup holders as well.
Dude, even to sit on it, right?
Yeah.
You're not sitting on like ridges. You're
Oh,
not
yeah.
sitting on bumps. You're sitting on like something that's nice and flat, and you got cup holders there too.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, dude, I know you wheel this truck. You must have onboard air, right?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. So for the onboard air, I am running the ARB single compressor with the Expedition Essentials bedside mount. I do love having it right there in the bed. It's really quick, really simple, and it's out the way.
Now let's dive into your suspension. How much lift do you have, and what kit is installed?
It's roughly lifted around 2 inches or so not that much lift. I am running the King coilovers in the front, the 2.5 with the reservoirs, and they're also the extended version as well. And then the upper control arm, I'm running the SPC. That does help with adjusting to fit the 35s, getting your alignment within spec. So in the rear, I have pretty much the whole entire archive garage setup. I have the shock relocation kit, the hammer hangers, and I have their cross tube. And I'm also running their U-bolt flip kit too as well.
Dude, so I have a couple questions for you regarding everything you mentioned right now. Did the ride, obviously when you upgraded your shocks to King, you must have felt the difference, right? But when you switched to all the archive garage stuff, did you feel a difference? Because you also have the bar, right? That
Correct.
stiffens the rear,
Yeah.
and it gives you more of a solid ride.
For sure, yeah. So I do feel that mostly like on the small washboard roads that are like out in the country or the desert. The bed doesn't feel like it's rattling around. It just feels more planted and solid. So that does help with the hangers and the cross tube. And then of course, when you have the 12-inch shock or the 14-inch shock, you get more flex, so more droop.
Now, dude, with having those big tires, you obviously need to strengthen the spindles. Did you do that?
I gusseted the spindles with the Total Chaos kit. I did get that too when I went to 35s because I was always worried about, just bending the spindle pretty much.
What about your sway bar? Is it still down there?
So no, I took off the sway bar probably 2 years ago.
Feels great, right?
Yeah, I absolutely love it, especially when you're off-road. You don't feel like, being jerked around and stuff like that.
You definitely obviously lose some of that stability, right? And you have to be cautious.
For sure.
If someone definitely crosses you on the road, that could become a hazard. But as long as you're looking out for it, I mean, I just love the ride, and I love what it allows us to do when we're out off-roading.
Oh yeah, for sure. I suggest that when people who are interested in doing it, just to try it yourself, because that's really all you can go by is, doing it yourself and then see if it does work for you, in your driving style.
Dude, so I don't know if you knew, but the 2024 Tacomas are actually gonna have a sway bar disconnect. So they'll just be able to push a button. They won't have to be dealing with us having to completely remove the sway bar. When they need it for the off-roading, they disconnect it.
Yeah.
And then when they get back on the road, they just connect it.
I know.
How sick is that?
That's very convenient too, without having to, remove it physically off the truck too,
Yeah, dude. What are your thoughts on the new generation, by the way?
I personally love it. I love the design of it now, especially, you got a different motor. I really can't wait to see when people start building them up,
Dude, right out of the factory, they're gonna be able to have 33, like some of the models, 33-inch tires, which I'm like crossing my fingers that it's gonna be a lot easier to fit 35s than, second gen Tacomas or third gens, that it's a bit of a mission, Since you don't have much weight back there, what leaf springs did you decide to go with?
So I'm running the Icon pack, the RXT multi-rate pack. As of right now, I'm running on option 1, which is pretty much no weight other than just a spare tire pretty much. Because the back bumper really isn't that much more weight added to it. So
they gotta be super smooth, right?
Yeah, so it's smooth, it's minimal weight. It's not, you definitely can't pack a lot of weight into it, and you can't expect a lot of lift out of it. But I have the option to go option 3 if I wanted to. So it's cool to be able to change it out.
Now with the Archive Garage shock relocation kit, you obviously have to extend your brake lines. Did you have to do that?
Yeah, so I got the extended brake lines. I believe they're 26 inches. Yeah, that was like one of the first things I did because, with the shock, the longer shock, the brake lines do extend.
What wheels and tires are you rocking, and what size are they?
Volk TEs, 37s. It's the Model X. They're 16x8 with the -20 offset, and I am running a 30mm wheel spacer, and I'm also running the BFG KM3 in 315 75/16 tires, mud terrains.
So essentially 35.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And in my opinion, I think these are the best mud terrains you can get out there.
Dude, I agree with you 100%.
Definitely quiet, definitely worth the money. I've had no issues in the rain and stuff like that, so I love them.
So there's a lot of controversy behind spacers. A lot of people will tell you, hey man, you're an idiot for riding them, and then you have the guys that are like legit going through like some insane trails and they're using them and nothing happens, the wheels don't fall off, you know. To fit these massive, I say massive because for Tacomas, you know, 35s are pretty big. What did you have to do to kind of avoid the rubbing?
First, I had a body mount chop, of course. It had to be really, really aggressive in order to not rub. I also did cut the fenders and flares about 2 to 3 inches all the way around. I also had to beat the pinch weld in the fender and also hammer a little bit down too as well. It still does rub, very minimal, but I can, you know, definitely take it anywhere I want to without having that crazy amount of rub.
Did you re-gear?
No, I haven't re-geared. It's mostly just by choice. I just don't see a reason for me to do it right now. For one, there's not that much weight on the truck. And second, it's just where I live at. 90% of the time I'm on the road in Houston. It's all flat. I don't really feel the pain of having 35s. It is slow, but it's not like nothing I can't get used to.
So dude, you actually have a second gen, right? With the 4.0, and it's completely different than the third gen. I've owned a second gen and I've had my third gen. They've both been on 35s, and the third gen needs it. Although we do advise that if you go up in tire size, you have to get, you know, gears. On the fourth gen, it's like, yes, you have to re-gear, but it doesn't need it as much as the third gen does.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what I hear people say. People say the third gen, you know, just like the motor and transmission, it's really sluggish with the 35s, you know. But I'm sure if I do re-gear, and when I do, it's probably gonna have some more
it's gonna feel great
feeling to it.
Oh yeah. All right, man, what's the future for your truck? What do you plan to do with it? Are you gonna leave it like this? What's the goal?
So I've had this set up probably for a couple of years now. I do have some big plans, and so you're gonna have to stay tuned. It's gonna be pretty epic.
Dude, I can't wait, man. I almost don't want you to do anything to it. I'm like, leave it like that. It looks perfect, but you have good taste, man. So I can't wait to see what you're gonna do. If you could give the viewers advice on, you know, they're getting into this hobby, what to avoid or what to do, what advice would you give them?
My advice is that, you know, if you have a Tacoma, figure out what your goal is. You know, are you wanting to, you know, have a long travel truck, go fast? Are you wanting to do the overland thing? Or you just want to keep it a simple daily driver, use it for work or whatever, and go camping on weekends? I definitely recommend 2 things for sure. It's just armor and suspension.
Thank you so much for allowing us to do this interview with you. And dude, I'll see you on the next one.
All right, man. Thanks. See ya.